Good evening, everybody. Welcome to everybody, all the councillors here present in the chamber and all those joining us virtually. If I could just ask members to introduce themselves. Start with Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, good evening. Neil Brooks, Cabinet Member for Enforcement, Public Safety, Highways and Transport. Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Leader. Councillor Gillian Campbell, Cabinet Member for Inclusion, Youth and Transients.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
I'm Taylor Deputy and also Cabinet Member for Performance Partnership. I'm not going to take it out.
Moving on, Councillor Farrell.
Councillor Joe Farrell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care and Health.
Thank you. Councillor Hobson.
Councillor Jim Hobson, Cabinet Member for Children's Social Care and Schools.
And Councillor Smith.
Councillor Mark Smith, Cabinet Member for Business, Enterprise and Job Creation.
Thank you. And Councillor Hunter. Thank you. And we've had apologies from Councillor Hugo and Councillor Benson, who were both unwell this evening. So if we can move on... declarations of interest. Councillor Hobson.
I possibly have a personal interest in agenda item 3, the update to the council plan, as I am a non-executive director of Blackpool Housing Company, Blackpool Coastal Housing and Lumen Housing. They are mentioned in passing in the report, and if there's any debate on those, I will have to declare a prejudicial interest.
Thank you. Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, similar position to Councillor Hobson as Chair of Blackpool Housing Company. Housing companies, I may have to declare a personal interest should we debate them.
Okay, thank you. Noted. So if we move on to agenda item 2, which is the supported housing scrutiny review, and I believe we're joined virtually by Councillor Hutton, Chair of the Adult Social Care and Housing Scrutiny Committee, to present the item.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Fairly brief report. It's got 2 recommendations, which I hope the executive will adopt and move forward. You've all read the report, so I'm not going to go into it. It does set out standards for the various groups, the adult supported housing standard and the youth standard and a charter, and it then calls upon the council to write to MPs and to the government to get powers to actually enforce this. We do need those powers because at the moment we can't actually enforce it. That's all I've really got to say unless there are questions. Can I, before I finish, thank Paula because Paula actually started this and did a lot of the work on it. It's got my name on it, but Paula was the one that instigated it. And could I also, it's not mentioned in the report, it was a remiss, but could we thank Sharon Davis from the Democratic Services team who actually put the report together and did a lot of the work on organising the various meetings and that. And I think sometimes those officers get missed out. So thanks from me to Sharon for all the work she did on it. And I'm happy to take any questions that I can answer.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Councillor Hutton? Councillor Farrell, do you want to...
Thanks, Chair. We have some very good providers in the town, but this review focused on those who the council do not commission or have very little powers over. As it says in the report, we can only aim to work with providers and encourage them to sign up to the charters, and there is an urgent need for the government to change legislation to enable us to enforce when needed. And also I'd just like to thank the scrutiny review for the work on this. So I'll just move to the resolution for the executive to note the scrutiny report on supported housing and endorse the 2 recommendations contained within the action plan, noting that these recommendations have been accepted by myself as the Cabinet Member.
Thank you. I'm happy to second. Could we have a show of hands, please?
And that's agreed.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Adrian, Councillor Hutton. Please pass on our thanks to the rest of the scrutiny committee for their work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good night.
Night. Now we have agenda item 3, which is update to the council plan, and I believe we're joined by Anthony and Robert, who are doing a double act presenting.
On these occasions, I'm keen for the officers who've done the majority of the work to perhaps do the talking, so I won't steal any of Robert's thunder. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Right. For those who don't know me, I'm Robert Arrowsmith. I'm a performance and intelligence lead, and I work in the corporate delivery unit. During my time at the council, I've now been with you nearly 3 years now. I've spent a lot of time focusing on the improvement journey in children, so some of you may have come across me in that light. But I'm also the principal author of the progress update on the council plan, which is what I'm here to talk to you about. You'll have seen the broad design and layout of the revised plan on the progress update for the plan at your previous meeting in January, where Kate Aldridge did a presentation on it. What's in the pack tonight for approval is a complete draft, and that draft takes into account feedback from that meeting, but also feedback from other senior officers in the meantime. 2 or 3 comments as by means of introduction about it. First thing to note is to reiterate that this is an update on progress on the plan, and it's not a new plan. Secondly, while it is a progress update on the original plan, it retains quite a lot of the look and feel of the original plan, even though there is quite a bit more text. The other thing I would say is that when I was first given the task of drafting the update, as an exercise, what I did is I went through the original plan and I looked at all the different pledges, and it struck me the amount of progress that has been made in the elapsed time since early 2019 was very impressive, and that led into the style and format of the actual progress update that you see before you, where you effectively got a pledge and then an update next to it. Aside from that, the main shifts with the progress update are around, there's a more emphasis on people. So there is more people there are more photos of people, there's more reference to people in the text, and it also communities is first in the sequence of the progress update, whereas in the original plan it was the economy, and then it went into communities. It's now communities with a bridging section, which is housing and climate, and then into the economy. Aside from that, there are some slight changes in tone and how things are written, so to try and make it a bit more people friendly, so talking about homes rather than housing where we can, and that kind of thing, and supporting families rather than safeguarding. So it's trying to make it more easy to understand and more people friendly, I suppose, in the way it's written. And that's all I really plan to say. I'm happy to take any questions or comments, although Anthony may have to handle the harder ones, should they come to pass.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you very much. And I think it does kind of reflect our wishes, our interpretation of it, if you will, because we understood that it was only going to be but an updated, so not a complete change. But I think it does kind of reflect, as you say, the progress that has been made, but also that emphasis that we wanted upon people. Not that regeneration, etc., isn't, incredibly important, but I think it explains more why we're doing the regeneration. It's about, we're doing it for our residents, for our people, and so it should be people and place, which, so I'm really, very grateful for the work that you've put into it. I don't know, Anthony, did you want to add anything?
Nothing in particular, Leader, other than just to say that I hope you would see within the updated plan coverage of the things that you wanted us to give new emphasis to, And of course, since the original plan was produced in 2019, we have made tremendous progress in many areas, but we've also declared a climate emergency, had a global pandemic, but also made great progress on our children's improvement journey. So all of that is reflected very much in the new draft, setting out clearly what the steps forward are under all those headings for continued delivery over the next 2 years.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm really pleased with it. Does anybody have any comments, anything they want to add? So I will move resolution at 2.1, which is to recommend to the Council to approve the updated Council Plan attached to Appendix 3A to the Executive Report with effect until 31st December 2024. Thank you, and give a show of hands.
And that's agreed.
That's great. Thank you very much, Robert, Anthony. So then we are now council tax 2022 to 23. Obviously Steve isn't with us tonight, but I believe the Chief Executive is joining us. Did you want to say anything first or on this?
I think the one point under paragraph 2.5, which we need to inform you of verbally, is the precept from the Lancashire Combined Authority, Fire Authority. That will be £77.27 at Band E, an increase of 6.92% on the current year. That's a £5 uplift at Band D, which is the maximum increase they are allowed. All the other the precepts, the Police and Crime Commissioner is already notified in there. The only thing due to update you on is really following on from the budget being approved by the Executive on the 7th of February, the additional information we've had, which relates to the final settlement, which didn't change the figures that you've already had in front of you on the 7th. And we've also continued with our engagement with both the private sector and other agencies around the consultation process that we were undertaken. So that leads us towards the recommendations in front of you in terms of council tax increase for the council's budget, but also for the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Fire Authority. Thank
you. So essentially we're confirming we want to make no changes to the budget already agreed and noting the fire services precept. So if I can move that, we will approve recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as Neil has updated and slightly amended in the and so I can show of hands.
So that's agreed.
Thank you. And then we have, last but not least, agenda item 5, and I believe, oh, this is Mark, Mr. Towers. For some reason, every time I see Museum Trust, I just presume it's going to be Alan, but obviously this is more a governance. So thank you. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
Yes, I mean, it is a joint report for myself and Mr. Cavill. So just again, as an executive, you had a number of cabinet member decisions and executive decisions over recent years about the development of the museum. We've now got a projected start date of April 2023, so it's now timely to actually set up a charitable company. So the first recommendation is asking for that to be delegated to myself to undertake, and seeking obviously authority for that, and to incorporate that at Companies House and with the Charities Commission. And then that will follow on from that. There'll be some associated decisions which we're asking to be put to Alan to be authorised to do, and that includes agreeing an implementation agreement which will protect the council's interests. So any key decisions like changing the articles and working with the council in terms of developing the business plan and making key appointments like the chair and the chief executive, then the council's got that involvement to ensure its investment, but still allowing the charity to act independently as it's supposed to under the Charity Commission rules. Other recommendations we're asking there, again with Alan, are to authorise him to liaise with the new charitable company to sublet the lease for the space in the Sands building to the new charitable company. And also the report refers to transferring the heritage service from the council to this new company, hence the name that we're recommending in terms of Blackpool Heritage and Museum Trust. So the heritage service would, it is proposed, would transfer across, and linked with that would obviously be an agreement that would need to be in place but also the duty transfer of staff associated with that, and also those that have been working on the museum project as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the incorporation setup of the company and its composition, and I'm sure Mr. Cavill can help with any of the other more detailed ones on the Heritage Service. Chair, sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry, Chair.
Sorry, beginner's error. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't got any questions at this point, but I think it would be, you know, as kind of the plan develops, as, you know, that work through, then obviously we can be kept informed as to, so we can understand sort of how that then develops.
Certainly, Chair, of course we can do that.
Is that okay with everybody? So if I can move the recommendations in the agenda 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5.
Seconded.
And have a show of hands, please.
That's agreed, Chair, and you can close the meeting.
Thank you very much. I will close the meeting. Thanks, everybody.